Hey everyone, I'm Riley and welcome back to my UX lab. Today I'm diving into the first real project of this channel, which is rebuilding Airbnb's landing page for their mobile app within Figma. This project is going to be a series of videos as I go through that rebuild process and learn along the way. I chose Airbnb because it's one of the most design-forward apps out there while also having a super clean and intuitive user interface. This is going to be a learn by doing scenario, and today I'll walk you through my first steps, so let's get started. All right, you can see I already have one frame completed for today's video. I wanted to show you what we're going to be designing and to get one practice run through so that I can show you my steps of creating this while touching on the things I learned during the practice session. I also have the screenshot of Airbnb and I'm using that as a reference to help stay aligned with the spacing and styles. So to start out, we need to create a new frame. To do so, you just hit F on your keyboard for a shortcut, or you hit the frame button here on the panel that brings up the available frames that Figma has available. You can see here what we're rebuilding has the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So from the available list, we just need to select the one that matches here. That creates an empty frame, and I like to just have it equal distances from that middle frame, and I like to align it from the top to the bottom to match. From there, we don't have a layout guide just yet, like these columns here, so we need to add those. With your frame selected, you need to come down to Layout Guide and hit the plus button. That brings up this new panel. Right now it's set to grid, and this has columns, so we need to switch that to columns. You can see this one only has 4 columns instead of 5, so we need to change the count to 4 and hit Enter. And then we need to also adjust the margin and the gutter. The margin is how far from the edges of the phone frame the layout is. After trial and error, I figured out that was 25. And then the gutter is how far between each column the empty space is. So after also trial and error, that is 15. The way I figured out the spacing for the margin and the gutter here is I drug this screenshot over my new frame, and all the design properties are within this margin line here. Nothing goes outside of the margins into the white space. Same with the gutter. I looked here between the 2 cards. Nothing goes over into the white space for the gutter, so I knew that they had it at 15 to line it up with those columns. So we'll drag that back over and start on headers and footers. To start out with the headers and footers, all we need to do is grab our rectangle, some people call it square tool. To do so, you hit R on your keyboard, or you come down here and select rectangle. That lets you drag and pull any direction you like, but since we're working within this new frame that we're creating, we'll go from one edge of the frame to the other, and then we'll drag it down about the same width as the other ones. Let's say that looks pretty close, and we'll do the same thing for the footer, from the edge, corner there, all the way across and up. And I'd say that's about right. Next, we're going to be working on the search bar, but only the shape and placement of it first. We'll get back to the text and magnifying glass later. To do so, we are actually going to use the rectangle tool again. I know that sounds weird, but trust me, it will work. What we do is look at this. It's within the margins here, but all the way across. So we'll start one margin here and go all the way to the other margin without going into the white space, and then just drag it to about the same width as the other 2 search bars. From here, if you select out of it, it looks like it's gone, but it's there. You just need to hover over it and select it. What we'll do to make it visible is darken it. You go down to the fill section here and then select any color. I like the gray, it just fits for me. You can do whatever color you want. Next, we need to round the corners of this new search bar we're creating. To do so, select it and come down to the appearance section here. You can individually change each corner one by one or do them all at the same time with this section here. After trial and error, it is 50 that they have for Airbnb, and you can see it matches pretty close. As an example, if you only wanted to change 3 of them, I'll turn this back to 0, and it keeps that one at a 90-degree angle. So we'll go back to that and change that to 50, and we are ready to move on. From here, I'm going to create the placeholders here for these icons up top in the header. To do so, we need to use the rectangle tool again. I like to start with the middle. It just helps my workflow. So I'm going to drag and drop here. And if you hold shift while dragging and dropping, it creates a perfect square for you. I'd say anywhere between 35 and 40 works just fine. So I'm going to drag that over right into the middle. Again, we can't see it, but we'll just hurry and change the fill color to the darker gray that we have. And there it is. We can continue that process and repeat the steps we just did, or to simplify things, if we have it selected, right click and copy it. From there, you can just click here and paste here and set it up where you want it. If you look over here, it's just off of this pink column edge. So we need to adjust that for this one. Sometimes it's hard because Figma does have like a magnifying sticky process that they like. It does help with designs, but sometimes it gets in the way. So to make things easy, the x-axis moves things right and left. And if you click on the X here and drag to the right, you can do it without having that sticky magnifying property. Same with the Y. If you wanted to move things up and down, left goes up, right goes down. And we will just hit Command Z to undo that because it was already lined up in the middle. Next, we need to create the last square. So if we come over here and hit paste again, it will remember the last thing we copied. And you can see we have it lined up perfectly with the others from top to bottom. However, distance-wise from the middle, it's not the same as the other one. So instead of guessing, Figma does have the sticky magnifying option to match the equal distances from the middle one there. Next, we need to add the text under these icon placeholders. To do so is pretty simple. What you need to do is hit T on your keyboard for the shortcut, or you can hit the T on this panel here. And then you actually do need to click or select into the page itself. From there, it will let you start typing. So we'll just type out homes and place it under this first one. Sometimes you can see it doesn't really want to match up with that center there. So what we can do is just zoom in a little bit, and from there, it usually lets you line it up in the center. We'll just copy and repeat those steps. So I'll hit T on my keyboard, click into it, and type out experiences. And then we'll drag that up and line it up under that middle square, but also from top to bottom with the other lettering of homes. And then again with T on my keyboard, I'll have to start typing services and move it under that last square, but line it up with the other words that we have. For this footer section, I do the same process as the header icons, except for slightly backwards. I do the text first instead of the squares. This is because I want the text to line up with the edges of the margins rather than the square icons, because the icons will be smaller than text usually, and I don't want to risk the text going outside those margins if we center align them with a square rather than aligning the square to the text. All right, the last thing that we need to add is the text to the search bar and the magnifying glass. So the text is fairly simple. We'll hit T again on our keyboard, select into the page, and start typing "start your search." We'll drag that up, and right now I'll center it, but we do need to change the size to 16 because 12 was too small. If you look here, it's a lot bigger than what these words are down here. And it does off-center it just a little bit, but if you look, this is off-centered as well, and the Y matches up perfectly with this gutter and this gutter. So we're gonna keep it where it's at From there, we need to add the magnifying glass, and to do so, we need to use the ellipse tool. It's a circle, but it's the ellipse tool. So what we need to do is select the ellipse tool and start dragging. If you hold shift again, it will create a perfect circle for you. I'd say anywhere between 10 to 13 is probably fine. And I'm just gonna line it up with the middle of the text so far. From there, we need to add a line for the handle of the magnifying glass. That's the line tool here. You can use L on your keyboard if you want. And I'm gonna zoom in so that I can pull it right off the edge of this magnifying glass. And normally things like this are at a -45, so I'm gonna change the rotation here just so that it matches for my personal liking. That looks pretty close, other than this has a nice bold line, rather this one is kind of just an empty circle. So what we're gonna do is select that circle we made and go down to the stroke section. Stroke is the line width that is created, and we need to change the weight of that. So the weight, you can pull it, and let me get this out of the way, and you can see it gets huge or empty. I think this looks like it would be around a 2 to me, and we also need to change the line stroke here for this line that we made to 2, just so that they're equal in weight there. From there, we're almost done. All we need to do is group these two together so that when we move them, it moves as one rather than 2 separate items. So you need to select the tail and then hold shift and select the circle. Right click and hit group selection. Now when we select them, they move as one and we don't have to worry about lining them up again. And if you zoom out, you can see we're pretty close, and there we have it. So that is where we're stopping for today. I hope this was relatable. I hope this was useful. I know for me, rebuilding apps like this really helps me pay attention to details and layout, such as grouping and spacing, and understanding why designs are built the way that they are. In the next video of this series, I'll be moving down the home page and rebuilding Airbnb's property cards that they have, so stay tuned for that. If you're working on your own UX project, or you've already rebuilt a popular app, drop a comment and let me know how it went. I'd love to trade ideas. Thanks so much for watching, and if this rebuild kind of content is helpful for you and your UX journey, hit the like button, subscribe, as it really does help me as I build this channel from the ground up. I'll be back with the next video soon, so I'll catch you in the next one.